through violent colonial processes.
Quisiéramos también celebrar la presencia y la resistencia de muchos idiomas indígenas, entre ellos el idioma y la cultura tongva de las tierras que ahora llamamos Los Ángeles.
And we would also like to acknowledge and honor the presence of many indigenous languages and cultures, among them the language and culture Tongva, which is which is present here on this land that we now call Los Angeles.
Hasta ahora hemos estado haciendo interpretación consecutiva. Yo hablo en español y Katia y Rodney me interpretan al inglés y lengua de señas respectivamente.
At this moment, we've been providing consecutive interpretation. I am speaking Spanish, and Katya and Rodney interpret into English and ESL, respectively.
Ahora vamos a cambiar a interpretación simultánea, donde vamos a estar hablando Katia y yo al mismo tiempo, usando la herramienta de interpretación de Zoom.
So we're about to switch to simultaneous interpretation, where Katya and I will be speaking at the same time using Zoom's interpretation tool.
Esa herramienta es para cualquier persona que no se siente completamente cómoda en inglés y español, los dos idiomas que van a estar usando los presentadores de este webinar.
So this tool is for anyone who does not feel completely comfortable in English and Spanish, the two languages that will be used by the presenters of this webinar.
Si usted es una persona bilingüe en español e inglés, o si usted prefiere comunicar usando lengua de señas, puede dejar de usar la herramienta de interpretación o puede experimentar esa herramienta como usted guste.
If you are a bilingual person in English or Spanish, or if you prefer to communicate in ASL, there's no need for you to use that tool. Or, of course, you can use that tool and experiment with it if you feel like it.
Van a ver en el momento que Andrew active la herramienta de interpretación, que va a ser en unos momentos, usted va a ver un icono de un globo, de un mundito abajo en su pantalla.
So in just a second, you will see that Andrew is going to activate the interpretation tool. And at the bottom of your screen, you will see a little icon, a globe, or like a little world symbol.
Si usted está accediendo a este webinar a través de su teléfono o su tablet, va a tener que tocar los tres puntitos de más y ahí puede escoger desde la lista interpretación de idiomas.
If you are accessing the Zoom application through your phone or your tablet, you'll have to click on the three dots, and there you will be able to select interpretation from the list.
Si usted no ve ese globo, por favor, comuníquese por chat con Andrew o con otra de las personas que están facilitando esta llamada. Lo más probable es que no tiene la versión más actualizada de Zoom. Necesita tener la versión 5.0 o más actualizada para usar esa herramienta.
If you do not see the little globe-shaped button, please get in touch through chat with Andrew or anyone else and any of the other presenters. The most likely reason if you don't see the symbol is that you don't have the most recent version of Zoom. So to use the interpretation feature, you need version 5.0 or above.
Ok, vamos a activar la herramienta de interpretación en este momento y cuando se activa, van a ver que pueden escoger o escuchar en inglés o escuchar en español. Entonces, mediante la selección de preferencia, pueden estar escuchando en esos idiomas.
We are about to activate the interpretation tool, and once it's activated, you will see that you can choose whether you want to listen in English or in Spanish. So through that menu, you will be able to choose your language.
También puede escoger silenciar lo que están diciendo los presentadores o escuchar lo que están diciendo los presentadores. Si hay mucho ruido en la línea, recomendamos que silencien lo que dicen los presentadores para escuchar solamente la interpretación.
You can also choose between either muting or listening to what the presenters are saying. If there's a lot of noise on the line, we recommend to mute the presenters.
Y ahora le voy a pedir a Andrew que active a Katia solamente como intérprete y vamos a hacer una pequeña prueba de la herramienta de interpretación.
And now I'm going to ask Andrew to activate just Katya as interpreter, and we are going to do a little test of the interpretation tool.
So I'm going to speak for a moment in English, and I'm going to have Katya speak in Spanish, and I'm going to ask if folks listening on the Spanish line can understand. So if you are a person who would like to switch to the Spanish line and maybe turn on your video and let me know if you can hear Katya speaking in Spanish, that would be great. It's a little hard to tell because a lot of people have their video off, but hopefully that's working. And I'm going to do the same thing right now by switching to Spanish. Voy a hablar en español y Katia va a cambiar a la línea en inglés. Entonces, lo que yo quiero es que me indiquen, y puedo ver, porque Rodney está interpretando en lengua de señas, que por lo menos Rodney está escuchándole a Katia, entonces está funcionando bien la herramienta de interpretación. Muy bien. Entonces, se habrán notado las personas que me están escuchando en español que en vez de usar la terminación tradicional de a u o usar el masculino como universal, estamos escogiendo muy intencionalmente terminar con la E y usar la X cuando tenemos textos escritos para romper con el binario de género de que solamente existan hombres o mujeres y crear espacios completamente inclusivos donde todas las personas se sienten completamente bienvenidas sin presumir acerca de su identidad de género. Hablando de espacios inclusivos, como mencionamos antes, la justicia del lenguaje es una responsabilidad colectiva y hay un par de cosas que ustedes pueden hacer para echarnos la mano en la creación de una comunicación equitativa en este espacio. La primera cosa es, por favor, silenciar su micrófono cuando usted no está hablando. Hable claramente, a ritmo moderado, y pause frecuentemente, sobre todo si estamos cambiando de un idioma a otro, porque hay una pequeña demora mientras cambiamos la tecnología, Katia y yo. Por favor, diga su nombre antes de hablar, porque las personas escuchando o viendo la interpretación solamente pueden ver o escuchar a los intérpretes y queremos que sepan quién es usted al hablar. Y también pedimos que solamente una persona hable a la vez para que los intérpretes no tenemos la necesidad de escoger cuál voz priorizar. Por favor, no sufran en silencio. Pidan ayuda si algo no está funcionando con la interpretación o la herramienta de interpretación. Contacten a Andrew o por el chat de Zoom, en la caja de chat, o por texto, y ahí está su teléfono. También pedimos flexibilidad y paciencia. La justicia del lenguaje es parte del movimiento de justicia social y el poder escuchar a todas las voces es súper importante en crear justicia y en crear solidaridad. Nosotros en Antena Los Ángeles, en el Comité de Justicia del Lenguaje del Sindicato de Inquilines, para nosotros es un enorme placer estar aquí en solidaridad apoyando esta conversación y esperemos tener muchísimas más oportunidades para compartir espacio con ustedes. Y ahora, Andrew, si me puedes hacer intérprete, sería excelente. Muchísimas gracias.
Hi, everyone. We're so glad that everybody is joining us today. We are CAT 911, and CAT stands for
Y CAT significa
Action Teams.
Equipos de acción comunitaria, Community Action
Sorry,
Teams.
I feel like I need a mute. I don't know how to mute Katia.
Que no sé. I'm not an interpreter. I'm no longer an interpreter.
Yeah, so Andrew, I think you might have accidentally ended interpretation.
Oops.
Rather than just made me an interpreter. So what you want to do, and Welcome to Language Justice. This awkward moment is the sound and feeling of making space for all the voices to be heard. Although not all at the same time on the same channel.
I
No, no problem. Andrew, you're muted, but I think, are we all set now?
yeah, we should be good now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, no problem. Yeah, so as I was saying, CAT stands for Community Action Teams. And we have been putting these trainings, and they're based around different themes. They're mainly like peace building, conflict resolution, around police violence, domestic violence and sexual violence, mental health crisis, and acute first aid needs. And this one will be on housing rates during COVID. And the purpose of our trainings is that we're trying to have people feel inspired and trained so that they will create their own teams in their communities. And that might be whether a few blocks in their neighborhood or by their apartment building or any other way that they self-identify. So it could be by an org or their collective, or for example, they might want to like recruit teachers if they are a teacher, so teachers at their school. And the purpose of CAT 911 is that people will create these teams and will be a source of resources and response other than calling the police. So if you are interested in forming your own team or joining a team that may already exist, or getting updates on what's going on with CAT 911, please visit our website, which is cat-911.org, or you can also email us at cat911team@gmail.com. And today we have the Los Angeles Tenants Union, and they will be they will start with a section, and then we'll have Q&A, and then a second section will start, and we'll have Q&A again after that. If you do have any questions while the speakers are talking, you can still put your questions in the Q&A or the chat box, and there is someone that is looking out for those questions, and we'll let the speakers know about that. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'll pass it over to the LA Tenants Unit.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay, good. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to Andrew and all the other CAT 911 folks that I'm very honored to meet. Thanks to the language interpreters and the ASL interpreters and the captioners. Very sorry about that. Okay, am I sounding okay? Okay. Yeah, thanks to all the interpreters. Feel very privileged to be a part of this process. Just thank everyone for holding space for us. So my name is B, and I am a part of the Northeast local chapter of the LA Tenants Union. Been organizing with them for about a year. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the LA Tenants Union. Okay, so I guess I'm going to share my screen now. Does that look okay? Okay. And by the way, with me are my compañeros, Carla from the Canoga Park local and Lupe from the South Central local. So building tenant power to defend our homes, community alternatives to 911. So I want to start this workshop with a video, and I hope this works.
Vengan a hablar con nosotros, Cypress Park. We are the Los Angeles Tenants Union. We're here to help inform, support, and help people who are facing unlawful evictions right now. Estamos aquí para ayudar si necesita ayuda, pónganos desalojos ahorita. Es difícil pagar renta. No podemos pagar renta. No deberíamos de pagar renta ahorita en este momento.
Know about tenants' rights. We're going around letting folks know about their rights during this crisis. Right after the protest started about George Floyd, our local of the Tenants Union was looking for ways to take a more kind of like active approach to doing outreach and connecting police brutality with the struggle that tenants have right now.
Hey, B, we can't see the video.
Thank you for telling me. Okay, so maybe if I play it, here, does the video start playing?
Yes, I see it, and we're getting affirmatives from others.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that, everyone.
You're doing great.
Cypress Park. Vengan a hablar con nosotros, Cypress Park. We are the Los Angeles Tenants Union. We're here to help, inform, support, and help people who are facing unlawful evictions right now. Estamos aquí para ayudar si necesita ayuda, pónganos desalojos ahorita. Es difícil pagar renta. No podemos pagar renta. No deberíamos de pagar renta ahorita en este momento.
Hey, we're letting people know about tenants' rights. We're going around letting folks know about their rights during this crisis. Right after the protest started about George Floyd, our local of the Tenants Union was looking for ways to take a more kind of like active approach to doing outreach and connecting police brutality with the struggle that tenants have right now.
Yo estoy teniendo mucho problema de juntar mi renta y mis biles.
Okay,
Yo trabajo para Santa Bárbara y nos cancelaron trabajo. Hay muchos problemas ahorita en el mundo y no todos pueden pagar. No deberían de pagar renta. No deberían de ser desalojados.
It's illegal to evict tenants right now. And tenants don't have to pay rent during the crisis. They have 12 months to pay back rent. So nobody should be being evicted, but some landlords are trying to evict. But when that happens, we can show up and block them from evicting you if they're trying to evict you.
Okay, so pásaselo a alguien.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Say, we'll come here and start some.
There we go. You gotta teach me how to say that. Something that's on the horizon in LA is a wave of evictions. And we need to connect the violence that police are doing in the street with the violence that they will inevitably do when tenants are unable to pay rent and when the moratorium on evictions expires.
If you have any fears of not being able to pay rent, if you or anyone you know is being evicted or is being threatened with eviction, we are here to support you.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so now actually I would like to make a request. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Carla, would you mind sharing your screen for the presentation? Because I have to look at my notes.
Yeah, of course. Let me
see.
do that. Oh.
Okay, thank you so much, Carla. So, well, I'll just get started. Okay, perfect. Thank you for being patient with us, everyone. Okay, so can you go back one slide? Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. So, so in the LA Tenants Union, we believe in the right to housing, regardless of our ability to pay. We believe in community self-determination and defense of our neighborhoods. We believe in the power of tenants. We are a tenant-centered movement. We organize against landlord harassment, mass evictions, displacement, and other crucial issues affecting the livelihoods and homes of tenants. Our mission is to strengthen tenants' political power through education, advocacy, and collective direct action. Our organizing is grounded in abolition and building tenant power, autonomy of the locals, and building up capacity of neighborhoods and locals to defend tenants from losing their homes. Communities cannot rely on police to solve problems, protect them, or provide services. We are the ones who must show up for community members and support each other. For Latu's principles, like I said before, we're tenant-centered. We define a tenant as anyone who does not control or own their own housing. We consciously include unhoused people in that. While welcoming all tenants, we prioritize the struggles of the most poor who have always lived in a housing crisis. We believe in skill sharing. We believe in sharing skills and resources across class, but take guidance and leadership from the most affected and financially burdened. Those who have no choice but to fight for survival. We're not a housing movement. Tenants are the protagonists of this struggle and the agents capable of changing conditions and of building the community we want. Housing is a human right, but so are a lot of other things we need for survival with dignity and justice. So autonomy. Part of our power to engage in bold direct action and militantly confront vulture landlords stems from our decision to be autonomous from government funding and traditional nonprofits with their hierarchical structures. And we don't let lawyers or policy advocates or legal experts lead our organizing or decision making. We collect our own dues, which are very affordable to maintain our independence. So base building, in order to build the base, we have to prioritize key commitments to language justice, anti-racism, anti-sexism, gender justice, and justice for immigrants. English is not the primary language in Los Angeles, so our movement has to organize itself around that reality, make all our spaces, actions, and communications equitably accessible to everyone. Another core practice of base building is outreach. We are constantly building visibility in the material and digital world in an attempt to reach the most vulnerable and isolated tenants. And we strive to empower tenants to become their own organizer in their own right, in their own building, building by building. Anti-gentrification. We analyze and through our experiences as well, we attack the system of housing speculation and real estate hype that contributes to massive displacement and gentrification in our communities. We see it as social cleansing. And so we use direct action to target corporate landlords and politicians who fuel development. These are the architects of gentrification, and police obviously you know, in a militaristic way, protects all of those interests, and in pushing the most vulnerable among us out of our neighborhoods. Finally, horizontality. Our horizontal structure is based on tenant associations organized into community local chapters. Our expanding network of 13 locals are the locals are the site of decision making for the chapter and the whole movement. We have no director or chairman or other officers, but collectively decide on the tasks that need to be done and decide who can take on which roles, encouraging new members to participate and do the work. Our horizontal structure is not an abstract principle, but because we have to learn and grow as tenants to not only advocate for ourselves, but to develop many new leaders to build tenant power. So a couple quick reasons why we have locals. Locals have the autonomy to organize and mobilize its own base in the community, launch its own campaigns, given that different communities have different needs and issues. We, community solidarity and relationship building. Tenants are the majority of folks in LA, and we know tenants are in isolation. So not knowing their rights are key tools used by developers and landlords to socially cleanse neighborhoods of working class people. So we provide a space for tenants to come together, educate each other, build trust, and defend each other. So, and the last is rapid response and community defense. And this is for neighbors in crisis. It's one of our most effective tools for defending tenants from losing their homes. We bring out neighbors for quick defense and eyewitness support in the event of landlord harassment, illegal lockouts or evictions, inspections, police raids on homeless encampments, and ICE raids. So those are our principles and why we have locals. And now I think Carla is going to talk about rent strike efforts during the current COVID-19 pandemic and our current protections and rights.
Can people hear me? Okay, hi everyone, my name is Carla. I'm with the Canoga Park Local of the LA Tenants Union, and I am truly grateful to be here to share and to really collaborate on what it means to build a world without police. We believe the answers are everywhere, and so thank you for allowing us to share our perspective as tenants and as organizers and to learn with you all. So I'm gonna go into our emergency tenant protections under COVID-19. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, great. So we are in a very kind of upside down world moment, as I'm sure everyone can attest to, but during this time, we've actually been, tenants have actually won a few emergency tenant protections during the pandemic, and we want to encourage, we want every tenant to know what those are. So the basics of that are evictions are illegal in Los Angeles for the duration of the emergency order. Eviction is a legal process that must be summoned by a court order. Eviction courts are closed. Tenants also have 12 months to pay back their rent after the emergency period ends. And tenant protections are set to expire July 31st. Tenants have 3 months after this date before we see the next wave of legal evictions. So courts will open back up 3 months after July 31st, meaning October 31st will be the first date. Before that, any kind of pay or quits or landlords taking it into their own hands to forcibly evict is illegal. Of course, we're still seeing that, and we're going to talk about our response to that. But we just wanted to make it clear that eviction is something that must be carried out in court, and it's something that is ultimately is determined there. So This has been more, these are more protections than tenants have had in the past. And we see this as Latu, we saw it as an opportunity for us to push our demands even further to build power for tenants. All right, I'm gonna go. So we launched our Food Not Rent campaign. With those protections in place, we made the case that the rent at this time is not essential. We don't believe it ever was essential, but especially during a pandemic, with the amount of people who've been financially impacted, who've lost jobs, especially for our communities of color and Black and Brown Angelenos, we were seeing that it was impossible for people to make the rent during this time, and that landlords are not entitled to our livelihoods. We were seeing that landlords were attempting to garnish people's stimulus checks, demanding that tenants pay when they couldn't pay. So the Food Not Rent campaign was is our strategy, is our response that keep your rent and pay for things that you actually need, like food, medicine. Save it, take care of our families, our communities, are key. And so what we were calling for, in that, knowing that you didn't have to pay your rent during this time, we framed it as a rent strike. And that's ongoing because it's July 2nd and people aren't able, as of today, people are saying, what am I going to do about my rent? I have lost work. I'm taking care of a family member who's sick. If you are unable to pay your rent today, in portion or in full, we encourage you to join us as part of the LA Tenants Union and check out our resource, which is our Food Not Rent Guide, which you can find at foodnotrent.org. And you can also join us. And we don't ask you to join us just to be part of our organization. We ask you to join because there are others who are also breaking through this shame. Historically, I think tenants have been isolated and not felt like they weren't able to speak about their problems. And so you have a really incredible network of community and support and people who are in the same place, who are not able to pay their rent and are actually coming out and saying, you know what, like this isn't my fault. Like this is a systemic failure. And so the more of us that stand in that and build our confidence, and we know our rights, and we're willing to take on our landlords, the city, our governments, and say, we're going to build our own power. We're going to demand that tenants have protection and that we have the power. That's the basis for our building a movement, to put pressure that the rent is canceled immediately and that the rent is canceled forever. And there are a lot of people, that's a growing call, and it's actually a rational one. It's going to be the only way forward. So yeah. This is, I'm going to be sharing a video that actually, shout out to my brother who made this, and like Latu has a lot of family, and I think for just POC community who know, like, if it's a family affair and organizing with your siblings, your mother, your father, those that are closest to you, you know, that's what this is about. So we have a lot of families that are part of Latu as well. So I just want to say shout out to that, and I'm going to share a video that we made to give some context for what we mean by rent strike. Could people hear the audio? Could you hear it? Could I get a thumbs up? Okay, let's see. Not able to hear it. Okay, we'll just, we might move on from that and figure it out. So like B touched on, hold on, sorry, let me. Okay, so, we also, like B touched on, tenant organizing as a response to gentrification. For landlords, it's not just about the money. It's also about power and control over low-income communities of color. Their response to this pandemic has been mass evictions, gentrification, and the displacement of our communities. They have taken it upon themselves to forcibly and violently evict tenants and their belongings from their homes. As anyone who has experienced it, an eviction is a traumatic act, and it's something that we never want anyone to experience on their own. And so that's been, we say no to all evictions, and we support those who are in the position who are faced with this. So our message, as we've learned from the rent strike, we've seen an increased level of self-evictions, meaning that landlords are demanding that tenants evict themselves. And if you don't know your rights, you may be terrified and not know that you have the right to stay. And also, and that also landlords are doing this illegally. So our response has been the Rapid Response Network, which we'll get to in the next section, but the idea is simple. It's to show up for our communities when we need support and if a tenant is in crisis. And we believe it starts with a tenant standing up for her right to remain in her home, and we as LATU, or really any member of the community, can stand with that tenant and support her right to remain. And that's been our response, is to organize and to use our collective power to demand an end to all evictions. So we've gone from demanding an end to rent through rent cancellation, to rent period, to an end to all evictions, which challenges a lot of ideas about in our society. But it's, if people aren't able to have the housing they need, then there isn't like, what else? People need to live, and this is the fight for maybe what is the most important thing. So it's keeping it really it's simple, truly, and it's something that like we can all participate in. It's something that is our collective responsibility. It's how our neighborhoods stay ours, and it's how we'll remain in this fight. So it's just an image from one of these home defenses where a tenant was able to return with the support of the community. And we believe we win when we are many. When there are more eyes and more of us know, then we can build power. So I think we're going to open it up for Q&A, or if anyone has any questions.
There have been some questions and answers going on in the chat. I've seen B responding to some of them. This one, it seems like it has come up a couple times. Someone put it in the question and answer. Whether the moratorium for tenant protection has been extended till September 30th. Do you know anything about this extension the media is talking about on TV? So for any of you guys.
So yeah, so basically what Newsom did is extend, first of all, the word moratorium is absolutely the wrong word. It's not a moratorium. But what Newsom did was extend the authorization for local municipalities to delay evictions until September 30th. if they choose to. At this point in LA County, they are set to expire on July 31st. So if you know, but you know, those, you know, our municipality can extend it until September 30th, if they want to. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm seeing, I'm not getting the language right. I'm sorry. Elena Pop is here. She's saying she's our solidarity attorney. She's saying he extended the authority to local municipalities to pass laws until September 31st, not to delay evictions. Okay. So so I guess basically whatever happened was, you know, the status quo has not really changed. You know, whatever the legalese is, a law that is passed that can go way beyond September 31st. Whatever the legal patchwork is right now, it is important to know, but it's more important to be prepared for when those protections expire, and that is why we're here to tell you about how we organize in our communities, and you know, in one purpose of the rapid response is to build up capacity for when legal evictions happen. Right now, they've been targeting illegal lockouts, so that is what we're in preparation for.
Cool, thank you. And then Joanna had raised their hand. I'll turn on your audio for a moment, Joanna, if you wanted to ask a question.
I just wanted to know if right now the evictions are legal or illegal.
You asked if evictions are legal or illegal?
Yes.
So evictions can be filed, but they cannot be summoned by the court. Sorry for my, if I was confusing in the beginning, but so evictions can be filed at any time, but they cannot be summoned in court, meaning they cannot move forward. Does that make sense?
Yes. Until when? Do you know until when or no?
It is for up until 3 months after the emergency protections are lifted, and so that is July 31st. The governor had passed, so it's 91 days after the governor lifts the emergency protections. Sorry, it's not July 31st. So, Elena, do you want to hop in here? Because we don't, okay, that's true. So Elena is blowing up our text lines because she is the mouse. I'm just kidding, but we don't know, and that's why it's very confusing, and it's why creating these networks of information, because it's being updated all of the time, and it's happening. But that's what's causing a lot of chaos and confusion, and it's why, you know, even those of us that are deep in tenant work, like, we have to constantly be updating. So that's, we don't know when that date will be. We have to keep our eyes and ears open for when that will be. It's been changing all the time since the pandemic has started, and there is like not a lot of clarity, but it'll be 3 months after that date.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Were there other, B, I know you were responding to some people in the chat. I wasn't following all of it. Were there any other points that you wanted to bring out into this conversation for people who weren't watching now?
There's just another question. It says, where can we find a step-by-step breakdown of what to do when someone calls you and says they are being evicted illegally by their landlord. Well, actually, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next section. It is going to be a step-by-step breakdown that Lupe will explain. There's an intake process. There are roles. You know, and you know, a lot of it is thinking on your feet and making sure you know, your friends and your family and your comrades show up when there's a call for that. So stay tuned for the next section that deals with rapid response.
Cool. Thank you, B and Carla. Are there any last questions during this part before we move on to rapid response?
There's one more question, or wait, two more questions now I'm seeing.
Oh yeah.
But it's up to y'all. If y'all would like us to move ahead for time, let us know. But I'm happy to answer these questions, or I'll read them and then anyone can answer them.
Cool.
Okay. So, do tenants have any legal recourse if they are illegally evicted or being harassed because they can't pay? Does anyone or do y'all? There's in LA, in Los Angeles City, we have something called the LA Private Right of Action, the Private Right of Action, which means that if the landlord issues a 3-day notice or shuts off your utilities or tries to influence you to transfer money from public benefits or public assistance or your stimulus check, that you can actually sue them. And you know, so this letter is sent to the landlord, and it's basically giving them a notice to cure that violation of your tenant protections or quit. So they have basically 15 days to kind of take back what they said or rescind that notice. And then, you know, if the tenant really wants to go through with that lawsuit, you know, they can take their time, try to find an attorney that will take that up. They can also make a complaint with the housing department as well. And yeah, so the legal and court landscape regarding this stuff is kind of uncharted territory. So you know, our approach is just to push and try as much as possible to see, you know, to see if we can win as many battles as possible.
Beyond the legal recourse, which I think is an important question, we always come back to the power of organizing. We have shown up to tenants' homes to let landlords know that they're not alone. And that's the beauty of community organizing. We can do anything that we wish that a tenant needs in support. And sometimes, you know, landlords aren't going to pick people off if they know they have support. If you are organizing with other tenants in your building, you have more leverage, you have far more power. So beyond the legal, we always, you know, we always think of what we have at our disposal as people who care about our neighbors and friends and family, or someone that we don't even know. What can we do to support? And we can get really creative in that way. We encourage people to.
So thank you guys. The last question, and then we just got a nice time check because we know you still have another whole piece that y'all want to speak on. But the last question was, hi, I'm wondering, could you also talk about property managers trying to buy you out? we were asked that recently, and we said no. We know it's a loophole they're trying to use since they can't do anything illegally eviction. So I don't know. It's up to you if you want to speak to that quickly or if you want to move into the rapid response.
Sure. While it's fresh in my mind, I'll try to be as quick as possible. They're trying to buy you out because I'm assuming you're in a rent control apartment, and we can't lose any more rent control apartments. And if you are in a rent control apartment, if they do buy you out, it's going to be even harder to find a similar place at a comparable price. And usually the buyouts are not enough. They're eaten up by taxes, I think they are using a loophole to try and get you to move out. So don't sign anything. Talk to your neighbors and ask if they're doing the same thing to them, try to get everyone collectively together that doesn't want to leave to basically tell the property manager and the landlords, no, we're not moving from our homes. And because this seems like a serious issue, whichever neighborhood you're in, try to connect with your local chapter of the Tenants Union.
Cool, thank you guys. Do you wanna, I'm not sure how you had it planned. Do you wanna pass it on to Lupe?
Yes, I'm comfortable starting now. So I'm gonna ask Carla to share her screen again. Hi everyone, I'm Lupe. I'm from the South Central local of the LA Tenants Union. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, from here on out, I'm actually going to be presenting in Spanish. Hola a todos, mi nombre es Lupe. Yo soy miembro del local de Sur Centro del Sindicato de Inquilinos de Los Ángeles. Voy a estar haciendo mi presentación en español. Yo voy a estar hablando sobre la respuesta rápida que hemos comenzado en el sindicato. Y le estoy pidiendo a Carla que comparta su pantalla. Carla, ¿puedes poner la próxima página, por favor? Este video, no sé si funcione, pero es un video sobre un desalojo que ocurrió en Mission Hills. El desalojo básicamente fue hacia una madre con hijos y fue en consecuencia de que ella sacó una orden de restricción contra su expareja por violencia doméstica, y resulta que esa pareja también es hijo de los dueños de la casa donde ella vive. Entonces la quisieron desalojar, ¿verdad? Porque ella sacó esa orden y ella contactó al sindicato de inquilinos, más específicamente al local de Canoga Park, el local de Carla. Así que le voy a dar un momento a Carla para que presente el video. Otra vez, no sé si funcione, pero queríamos que fuera parte de la presentación. Así que Carla, si le puedes poner play al video, a ver si funciona.
Coming together to defend the people, to defend the tenants' rights, because the fucking LAPD is not doing that.
They are involved with the LA Tenants Union, so they're advocating for the tenants' right to return. She was forcibly evicted. She's actually just left for an afternoon and came back. Her things were removed from her home. The house was boarded up, the locks were changed, and it was during COVID. So we're, activating her right to return to the property.
Going here is she was illegally evicted. Soon-to-be ex-husband actually abused her, and after he abused her, she got a restraining order. His mother retaliated. The mother is also a landlord. She owns the house. So as a retaliation, they want her out.
And then I got a text message on Monday at 4 p.m. Throwing your stuff out, and you might want to come over really quickly. I got in my car, I drove over here, and it literally in that one day, I came back and it was boarded up, locked up. That night, and I guess they didn't think I had enough paperwork or something to show them that I lived here. I had my court papers, I had my ID, I had all of that. Yeah. They were like, we can't help you, you might need to yes, you can go in. I came here and police allowed me to get a locksmith to go in. They were here. There were 2 policemen here. Yeah. They allowed me to go in. They called the landlords. They told them, we're letting her in. You don't have a right to kick her out. Those policemen left. Yeah. By the afternoon, my landlord showed up, called a 3rd set of police, and those police had a different story. And they said, no, you can't come back. If you come back, then maybe you'll be arrested. And I showed them tax forms, my court forms, my ID, everything, and it wasn't enough. My alarm will help them show up. We'll have to provide proof because there was a notice. Yes. That was for some kind of February.
Okay, I don't know if that's correct or not. It's just you giving me some information. I don't know if it's correct or not. So we'll review your paperwork, we'll review their paperwork, and then we'll make a determination at that point if that's what I know about. The only reason we're called out is because there's a large group of people with all kinds of press here. So.
Creo que se congeló el video, así que le voy a pedir a Carla que se mueva a la próxima página, por favor.
Can you see the next slide?
Carla.
Hi, can you see the next
Gracias.
slide?
Ok, so lo que vimos básicamente en ese video, ¿verdad? Fue de que la señora que estaba siendo desalojada, ella se comunicó con el sindicato de inquilinos y nosotros respondimos, ¿verdad? Ahora, este caso fue un poco diferente a los que acostumbramos o a los que estamos respondiendo recientemente, en que este caso sí tuvo un poquito de planificación, pero básicamente lo que ocurre en estos instantes es de que alguien le habla al sindicato de inquilinos, a una persona que ellos tienen la información de contacto y le hablan a esa persona, y luego esa persona va en donde está el inquilino para determinar qué es lo que está pasando, ¿verdad? Para determinar cuáles son los datos importantes y determinar si ocupamos hacer un llamado de acción y así que vengan más compañeros para empezar con la manifestación si es necesario. Voy a empezar con la presentación. Mil disculpas porque esta presentación sí es solamente en inglés, el texto solamente es en inglés, pero yo voy a estar dándola en español. Básicamente, cuando empezamos la respuesta rápida, es importante tener una comunicación con el inquilino, la inquilina, porque eso nos ayuda a tener una relación y a tener confianza, ¿verdad? Es muy importante tener esa confianza para poder trabajar mejor. Carla, ¿puedes poner la próxima página, por favor? Gracias. Ahora, hemos respondido a varios incidentes, ¿verdad? de desalojos. Y algo que hemos aprendido es la importancia de tratar de averiguar todos los datos que sean posibles, específicamente para el caso al que estemos respondiendo. Y en ese trabajo hemos desarrollado un proceso para determinar cuáles son los datos, ¿verdad? Y así nosotros poder pensar mejor en cuáles pasos queremos seguir. Así que hemos desarrollado una lista de preguntas. Son varias preguntas, pero aquí solamente les voy a presentar un resumen de esas preguntas. Estas preguntas nos ayudan a asesorar la situación. Básicamente lo que queremos saber de inmediato, ¿verdad? Antes de actuar es obviamente el nombre de la persona, la dirección en donde vive y queremos tener información de contacto. También queremos saber si la persona tiene un acuerdo de renta o un contrato, ¿verdad? Porque es importante, ese dato es muy importante, porque si la persona no tiene un contrato, entonces tenemos que buscar cuáles otras maneras de comprobar, ¿verdad? O establecer que esa persona es inquilina. Y hay diferentes maneras de hacer eso, pero por ahora solamente les queremos dar una presentación general, ¿verdad? Otra de las cosas que queremos saber es quién es el propietario o la dueña, el dueño. Y si tenemos información de contacto para esa persona. Y otra cosa muy importante, lo que nosotros decidamos hacer debe centrar siempre cuál es la meta de la inquilina, el inquilino. ¿Qué es lo que queremos lograr? No como sindicato. Siempre tenemos que trabajar y tener en mente qué es la meta del inquilino. Entonces, estas son las preguntas que nos ayudan a navegar la situación. Next slide, please. Gracias. Ahora, Carla ya dio un resumen básico, ¿verdad?, sobre nuestros derechos ahora por la pandemia. Básicamente lo que han dicho nuestros gobernantes es de que nadie puede ser desalojado en tiempos del coronavirus. Y como nos dijo la abogada Elena, tenemos hasta 3 meses, básicamente 91 días, después de que el gobernador levante esa orden de emergencia. Así que, aunque se levante esa orden de emergencia, todavía tenemos esos 91 días antes de que alguien pueda ser desalojado. Pero algo que hemos estado viendo, ¿verdad?, en nuestras comunidades, es de que los propietarios no están siguiendo esta regla y están procediendo con desalojar a inquilinos por varias maneras. Y esas maneras incluyen la intimidación, el hostigamiento, ¿verdad? Lo que hemos visto nosotros en el sindicato de inquilinos es de que cortan la luz, cortan el gas, les cortan el agua. Incluso hemos tenido casos en donde les remueven la taza del baño o incluso les prohíben usar el refri o les llenan la tina, la regadera, con cemento y así la persona no puede ocupar el baño. Así que son diferentes, ¿verdad? Como estábamos diciendo anteriormente, ahorita ningún desalojo puede ocurrir, ¿verdad? Entonces, pero como nosotros vimos de que sí están sucediendo, por eso creamos este grupo de respuesta rápida. Next slide, please. Como ya he dicho, antes de comenzar es ideal, ¿verdad?, tener algún tipo de relación, no solamente con la inquilina o el inquilino, sino también entre compañeros en el sindicato, ¿verdad? Una de las preguntas que ahorita especialmente nos hemos estado preguntando es cómo vamos a interactuar con la policía, ¿verdad? Y como sindicato estamos moviéndonos hacia no hablarle a la policía, no depender de la policía, y hay varias razones por eso, y les voy a platicar sobre eso después. Pero ahorita, en casi todos los casos a los cuales nosotros hemos respondido, los dueños son los que hablan a la policía, y cuando ellos llegan, siempre tenemos que tener a alguien que sea esa comunicación entre los oficiales y la comunidad, ¿verdad? Next slide, please. Una de las cosas que nos ayuda en hacer este tipo de trabajo, ¿verdad?, es tener un medio de comunicación, y lo que nosotros usamos en el sindicato es, por ejemplo, la aplicación de chat Signal. Nosotros elegimos usar Signal para comunicarnos entre compañeros porque es un método más seguro, ¿verdad? Más seguro que usar el texto de nuestro teléfono, por ejemplo. Entonces es una medida de seguridad. Siempre esto es importante porque al momento de tomar acción, tenemos que mantener la comunicación abierta para que todos que estén involucrados en esa acción sepan qué es lo que está pasando al instante, qué es lo que se ocupa, y varias de las cosas que son importantes, la información que todos deben saber, es fácil mandarlos en un chat, y nos sentimos más seguros si ese chat es protegido, como en la aplicación Signal. Otra cosa que usamos para mantener comunicación es crear un documento, ¿verdad?, en donde tengamos la información de los inquilinos, de los propietarios, de llamadas. Eso nos ayuda a tener esa información accesible y así que no se pierdan en el chat. Y también seguimos trabajando en esto y aún tenemos mucho trabajo que hacer, pero ahorita estamos tratando en mantener nuestras conversaciones bilingües, por lo menos en inglés y en español. Next slide. Bueno, ahora vamos a hablar sobre qué es lo que sucede durante estas acciones, ¿verdad? Durante el desalojo. Ya alguien nos habló, hay un desalojo, alguien fue y determinó que sí es ilegal, ¿verdad? Ahora ya hicimos un llamado a acción y lo que ocupamos son personas que lleguen a la escena y que actúen. Bueno, hay diferentes papeles que las personas pueden hacer, o diferentes maneras de las cuales las personas pueden participar. Esta lista no es una lista completa y seguimos desarrollándola, pero uno de los papeles que a fuerza se ocupan al momento de responder a estos incidentes, por ejemplo, son una persona que mantenga comunicación entre la inquilina y el sindicato, una persona, como ya dije antes, que sea la persona que se comunique con los oficiales, ¿verdad?, con la policía, una persona que esté encargada de las redes sociales. Muy importante notar de que siempre que nosotros empecemos un video en vivo en nuestras redes sociales, es importante tener el permiso del inquilino. En conexión con eso, tiene que haber una persona que sea la persona que va a hablar con los medios de comunicación, ¿verdad? La persona que, si llegan a venir las personas que son noticieros o de diferentes medios de comunicación, que haya una persona que responda a ser entrevistado. Y esta persona tiene que saber los datos del caso y un poquito, o por lo menos lo básico, sobre las protecciones y las leyes actuales. Otro papel que es muy importante es tener observadores legales. Estas personas son parte y vienen de NLG, que es básicamente un grupo que trabaja con abogados y son personas que vienen a diferentes manifestaciones para documentar qué es lo que pasa. En conexión con eso también es importante que haya una persona que mantenga comunicación entre el grupo que ya está en la escena y un abogado. El sindicato de inquilinos tiene comunicación y relaciones con abogados. Entonces, cuando lo ocupemos, ¿verdad? No queremos siempre, ¿verdad?, tener a un abogado, pero es importante porque hay preguntas que solamente pueden responder un abogado. Otro papel que es muy importante es tener a una persona que sea encargada de traer materiales, porque no solamente es de llegar, ¿verdad?, y estar ahí. Ocupamos materiales, por ejemplo, el micrófono que se ocupa, ¿verdad?, pancartas, ahorita con el calor, ¿verdad?, el agua, comida o botanas. Y también por lo de la pandemia ahorita ocupamos personas que traigan guantes o desinfectante. Y en conexión con eso también una persona que se asegure que estamos manteniendo nuestra distancia, ¿verdad? Los 6 pies, que cada persona que esté en la escena que tenga puesta la mascarilla. Y últimamente por lo menos tener una persona que ya que haya pasado la acción o el incidente, que sea a cargo, 1 o 2 personas que se hagan cargo de mantener contacto o de contactar a vecinos o de gente de la comunidad que tal vez haya sido parte también de la acción, vieron que algo estaba pasando y salieron. Entonces, esta es una oportunidad, ¿verdad?, de crear una base más grande en esa comunidad y contactar a personas que puedan ser parte del sindicato y para que se junten, para que se unan y así tener un grupo más fuerte por si llega a pasar esto en el futuro. Next slide, please. Ahora, como estaba platicando hace un rato, es importante, ¿verdad?, tratar de tener todos los datos que sean posibles. No siempre es posible y no siempre lo hemos hecho, ¿verdad?, en las acciones recientes, pero eso nos ayuda a pensar, ¿verdad?, cuál es la mejor estrategia en este caso. ¿Qué es lo que queremos lograr y cómo lo vamos a lograr? También es importante no solamente contactarnos con el inquilino al momento del incidente, del desalojo, sino también después, ¿verdad? ¿Cómo sigue? ¿Se siente seguro? ¿Cuáles son otras necesidades? ¿La han seguido molestando? ¿Qué ha pasado desde entonces, verdad? También durante la acción es importante preguntarle, ¿verdad?, al inquilino cómo se siente si escalamos la situación, porque muchas de las veces va a ser necesario escalar la situación porque queremos presionar, ¿verdad?, presionar al propietario, la dueña, a que no desalojen a esta persona. Y eso funciona solamente si escalamos, ¿verdad? Por eso ocupamos más gente, más voces, más cuerpos, porque entre más personas somos, más presionamos a parar el desalojo. Next slide, please. Okay. Ahora voy a hablar un poquito sobre cómo suceden estos desalojos o cómo han sucedido, ¿verdad?, en mi experiencia y en la experiencia del sindicato. En cada una de las situaciones que hemos respondido, siempre han estado la policía. Es importante notar que los oficiales de la policía no son los encargados. Ellos no están autorizados, ¿verdad?, a enforzar los desalojos. La única persona que puede hacer eso es un sheriff. Pero nuevamente, ahorita los sheriffs no están enforzando los desalojos. Sin embargo, al momento que los propietarios le hablen a la policía, ellos llegan. Y lo que hemos visto en cada uno de estos incidentes es de que la policía, en vez de proteger los derechos del inquilino, ¿verdad? En vez de enforzar de que ahorita no deben de haber desalojos, ellos se ponen del lado del propietario. Y hay muchas razones por esto y podemos hablar sobre esto después, cuando platiquemos un poquito más como discusión. Pero es importante notar de que aunque nosotros sepamos las leyes, ¿verdad? Aunque sepamos sobre las protecciones, aunque nosotros estemos al tanto de que no pueden haber desalojos, lo que hemos visto una y otra vez es de que la policía no va a estar ahí para proteger nuestros derechos, no van a estar ahí para ayudarnos a los inquilinos. Al contrario, ¿verdad? Entonces es importante siempre tener más personas en la escena y nuevamente tener a una persona que esté encargada de mantener la comunicación entre los oficiales y el grupo de protestantes. Next slide, please. Ok. Como ya les he platicado, ¿verdad? Estas son oportunidades de conectarnos con la vecindad, ¿verdad? No queremos solamente llegar, tener esta manifestación y ayudarle a la persona a mantenerse en casa, ¿verdad? También queremos ocupar esto como una oportunidad de que las personas que viven en esa comunidad, que nos lleguen a conocer, que aprendan sobre sus derechos, que estén dispuestos a unirse, ¿verdad? Y que no tengan miedo de tal vez también pasar por esta situación, ¿verdad? Siempre queremos mantener estas situaciones seguras, ¿verdad? No queremos escalar ninguna situación si el inquilino no se sienta seguro. Pero cuando estas situaciones llegan a escalar, es lo que llama la atención, ¿verdad? A vecinos. Y muchas de las veces ellos salen, ¿verdad? Por curiosidad, quieren ver qué es lo que está pasando. Y esto lo debemos de usar como oportunidad de conectarnos, ¿verdad? Porque entre más somos, más fuerza tenemos. Esta es la meta de organizarnos como vecinos, ¿verdad? Como amigos, como compañeros. Tenemos que unirnos. Entonces, es importante, ¿verdad? De que no nomás mantengamos esta comunicación al instante, al momento de que pase el desalojo, sino también hacerlo más intencional y mantener comunicación después de que haya pasado esto, ¿verdad? Entonces, por eso es importante documentar todo, documentar y tratar de agarrar información de contacto de vecinos y todo, y de todas las personas que estén ahí presentes. Así nosotros como sindicato podemos mantener en comunicación con ellos, contactarlos, invitarlos a ellos a que se unan a nosotros y que también ellos se comuniquen, ¿verdad? Empiecen a hablar entre vecinos, porque eso es algo que nos ayuda en mantener y en establecer relaciones que nos ayuden a ser más fuertes. Next slide, please. Bueno, brevemente ya he hablado mucho sobre esto, ¿verdad? Es importante siempre documentar y una manera en la que nosotros hacemos esto es usar nuestras redes sociales. Pero también es importante hablarles, ¿verdad? Si tenemos la capacidad a diferentes medios de comunicación. En muchas de nuestras acciones con el sindicato hemos tenido por ejemplo, a Telemundo o a Univisión, que han estado en la escena, y eso nos ayuda, ¿verdad? No como sindicato, sino a que la gente conozca estas historias, que sepa que esto está pasando, ¿verdad? Y qué hacer, ¿verdad? Si esto les llega a pasar a ellos, ¿cuáles son las opciones? Entonces, los medios de comunicación son muy importantes porque nos ayudan a que más gente se informe de que esta es una opción que ellos tienen, ¿verdad? Si están enfrentando algo similar, pueden contactarse a un sindicato o simplemente unirse con sus vecinos y desarrollar esa fuerza. Next slide, please. Bueno, como ya he dicho, siempre es importante y nosotros tratamos enfatizar la importancia de mantener comunicación con el inquilino después de que haya pasado esto, ¿verdad? Como ya dije, se sienten seguros, ¿verdad? Ok, ya están dentro de sus casas, pero se sienten seguros, ¿verdad? Si les cortaron, por ejemplo, la luz, el agua y el gas, ¿ya tienen eso? ¿Cómo podemos ayudarles a que tengan estos servicios nuevamente? ¿Qué otras necesidades tienen? Tal vez ocupen comida o reparaciones o fondos. Y muchas de las veces nosotros nos encargamos a ayudarles a recaudar fondos, ¿verdad? Tal vez ocupen documentar escribiéndole una carta al propietario sobre lo que ha sucedido y así tener comprobantes, ¿verdad? Por si en algún futuro ellos deciden proceder con la situación de una manera legal. Siempre es importante tener esta documentación. Y otra cosa muy importante es como grupo, ¿verdad? Como sindicato, como personas que han estado ya en la escena, ok, ya estuvimos protestando, ocurrió la manifestación, presionamos, ¿verdad?, al dueño al punto de que se rindió y la persona ya está dentro de la casa. Es importante reflexionar, ¿verdad? ¿Qué funcionó? ¿Qué no funcionó? ¿Qué aprendimos? ¿Y cómo vamos a hacer esto mejor en algún futuro, ¿verdad? Así que brevemente, como resumen, lo que pasa en estas situaciones es de que alguien está siendo desalojado, contactan al sindicato, alguien va, asesora la situación, ponemos el llamado a acción, llegan las personas, toman papeles, ¿verdad?, de los que hablé en el principio, presionamos, manifestamos, protestamos, llegan tal vez la policía, escala la situación y en cada situación hemos logrado de que la persona se quede en la casa y hemos mantenido comunicación aún después de que suceda el incidente. Bueno, esto es lo último que yo tengo como presentación. Ahora vamos a movernos a la parte de discusión y el compañero Bijan va a hablar un poquito sobre cómo conectamos ese trabajo, ¿verdad?, a abolir la policía. Así que se lo voy a pasar a Bijan. Gracias a todos por escuchar.
Thank you, Lupe. That was incredible. And by the way, thank you to the interpreters and the closed captioning people and the ASL interpreters for staying with us, and for everyone else who's here. Really appreciate your time. So how do we build tenant power that's rooted in abolition? So what you just saw has been our response to illegal lockouts and evictions. How can we commit ourselves to further developing our roles and tactics in the context of abolition? In what other ways can we practice and embody abolition as autonomous groups and build capacity within our neighborhoods to respond to the various needs of all our community members? So there are real evictions happening right now, but we are still practicing for the tsunami of legal evictions that will occur, in which hundreds of thousands of tenants are at risk of homelessness, and many will become homeless because they have not been able to pay rent, and because of other eviction tactics landlords are going to be using and are already using. So we're going to, so every single lockout is a staging example. Where we come together as a community and share our skills, do mutual aid, show up and confront landlords and police. And we create this spectacle for hopefully the world to see and for other tenants to see, that basically says evictions, whether legal or illegal, are violent. And the folks bearing the brunt of that violence, we have been seeing, are mostly women of color, people of color, trans folks, trans folks of color, immigrants, Spanish dominant folks, poor folks, and the unhoused community has been facing a lot of that police and state violence as well. So, so how do we live and breathe abolition today while the police still exist? Okay, so I won't take up too much more of your time, except to also mention this last point that I wanted to get across, was that, you know, we can't address housing issues without also, and rapidly respond to evictions without also addressing all the problems that happen inside the home, that you all have been doing really important work in responding to, like mental health issues, racial and gender oppression, domestic violence, sexual violence and assault, gender violence, deportation, mass incarceration, educational barriers, childcare, healthcare. All these issues at some point manifest inside the home. So, so this workshop is hopefully the first step of many in which we can share networks and build capacity together to be better equipped to address these issues. So yeah, so after that, I'd like to open it up for other folks to ask questions or to make any comments on this question, and also to my other my fellow facilitators as well.
Thank you guys so much. If people have questions or comments, please send us a chat right now, put it in the Q&A, raise your hand. We've got a few more minutes. We'll be closing by 8 o'clock at the latest. So now's your chance. I know this webinar platform isn't super interactive, and we apologize for that. In Cat 911, we just set it up and we're experimenting with it for more safety, given some of the past experiences during the webinars. But it's not super interactive, unfortunately. But raise your hand, send chat, Q&A, or if any of the panelists have anything else that they would like to add right now. If not, that's fine too. Oh, here's one. Elena says, we're seeing an increase in landlords applying false restraining orders to get tenants out. We think it is a response to the success of the rapid response. So it just shows the power of organizing with your neighbors when they start having to bend the laws. We need more strategy on this, says Elena. Well, if no more questions or comments right now, I mean, we're already over 45 minutes anyway. Claudia, did you want to say anything to close us out right now?
I just wanted to encourage everyone to form a team or join a team. We can't do these movements alone. So if you either want to form a community action team or you want to join the LA Tenants Union, which are doing amazing work. So the point is to work along with others. And so if you want to contact us, our website is POW-911.org. Oh yeah, POW is, I can put them in the chat box as well. And I know that LA Tenants Union shared their website earlier as well, but if they can reshare theirs as well. And I think Carla wanted to share a video with us as a closeout.
If I may, is that okay? Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you so much to everyone with CAT 911 with deep admiration and collaboration for all that you provide for a world where we look to each other to solve our problems. Thank you for being part of that solution now and always, and we see the work as shared and our collective responsibility. So I'm going to go back to sharing.
We're going on rent.
Can you hear it?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We're going on rent strike because the landlords and politicians do not care about us.
They don't care whether we live or die, but we do.
1/3 of Americans didn't pay rent in April. 26 million Americans lost their jobs.
We can talk facts all day, but the truth is, essential workers risk their lives every day just to keep their homes.
We shouldn't be living this life to pay.
It's clear their priority is to keep us open for business than to keep us alive.
Whether you're in a hospital, a grocery store, or in quarantine, it's time we protect each other and our homes. We are all essential in this fight.
Housing
is a human right.
Well, thank you so much to the Tenants Union team, to the ASL Spanish interpreters and our closed captioner, and to the rest of the CAT 911 crew for making this happen. And thank you for everyone joining. I see some folks from MCTF. Hi, Anna. So thank you guys for joining too.
Have a good night, everyone. Oh, I see someone's asking, where can they find the video?
Oh, yeah. It's probably in the presentation, right? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going to close this out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Nice to finally meet you.
You too.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Thank you guys from the East Coast for staying up so late, too.
Andrew, you're a medic?
I'm a nurse.
You're a nurse. Oh, I've had training with you. I didn't
Oh.
recognize you, but it was one of the best it was a CAT 911 full day, and I just want to say thank you.
Oh, cool. My pleasure. Good to to meet you again.
Meet you too. Thank you so much, Jen and Kathleen. Good night, y'all.
Bye.